The Atlanta Hawks desperately needed to get a win, and that they did. This is huge with a few games left in the season. I mean, we're under 20 games in the season, and the Atlanta Hawks are fired up because this is going to be a stretch that the Atlanta Hawks definitely have to get some major wins to keep themselves out of the lower half of the play-in tournament. And if some crazy things go down, I mean, some crazier things have happened, but if these Atlanta Hawks can possibly muster up a run that could be historic, they can find themselves out of the play-in tournament and possibly in the playoffs. I have got to talk to you guys about the game tonight. Of course, we got a game review. The Hawks, of course, beat the Indiana Pacers 120-118. So we definitely got to talk about that. We also have to talk about how the Indiana Pacers had a boneheaded play, which gave the Atlanta Hawks the win, which was awesome. Trae Young was very smart going down towards the end of the game, basically. And also, too, we got to highlight a few of the Atlanta Hawks who have stepped up in a major way, especially in light of a few players that have been out due to injury and things of that such. But before I go any further, let me go ahead and christen the show and welcome all of you and myself to Atlanta Hawks Digest. What's going on? My name is Walter Pollard, and this is Atlanta Hawks Digest. So let's just dive right into it because, again, it was a big win for the Atlanta Hawks, man. They beat the Indiana Pacers once again, 120-118, and it was a very, very, very tough game. It was a very close game at that, man. I mean, again, this was a game where the Atlanta Hawks, they were up by 25 at one point, but somehow the Indiana Pacers were able to muster up you know what I'm saying, a few runs, and they were able to, bring the game back within a close margin. It was a very close margin going down the stretch, but again, the Atlanta Hawks, they were able to find a way to get it done. And just to be completely honest, it was all from the first quarter. First quarter, the Atlanta Hawks, they had 39 points in the first quarter. Trae Young had 26 in the first half. So again, that was impressive to see that young man again doing what he normally does and being the leader for the Atlanta Hawks, man. I'm totally impressed by this young man. But the boneheaded play that really gave the Atlanta Hawks the win, basically. It was about 7.4 seconds left in the game, 119-116. The Atlanta Hawks were up, and yes, it felt as though it was gonna be a game that the Atlanta Hawks were going to win. They were gonna find a way to get it down the stretch. But yet the Indiana Pacers were able to get the ball back, have possession with that much time left, and, a possibility to possibly send the game into overtime. But yet, Pascal Siakam made a boneheaded play, driving down the lane, dunking it, and basically making the game 118-119, giving the ball back to the Atlanta Hawks. Of course, the Atlanta Hawks were able to go to the foul line and get to the stripe and basically end the game there. And then Trae Young was very smart by, instead of draining the last point, which would make it 118-121, he basically just hit it off the rim, ending the game, giving the Indiana Pacers no time at all in the last few seconds or whatnot. Didn't give him any time at all to get the ball back. Actually, it was a very smart play because if you guys can remember, the Atlanta Hawks were in a very close game versus versus the San Antonio Spurs, and Wemby had a very, very heads-up play by just hitting it off of the rim, ending the game, and not giving their opponent an opportunity to win the game. So again, my hand claps to Trae Young. Kudos to that guy. Big night for Big O. Definitely got to give a major shout out to him because his stat line definitely stuck out in a major way. Big O, he had 16, he had 16 points and 16 rebounds. 16 points, 16 rebounds for the Hawks. That was impressive. Let me see if I can pull up the stats for these guys. Yeah, so Big O, man, major. 32 minutes, 16 points, 16 rebounds, 2 assists, and 3 blocks. But let's go even further down the list because he's not the only guy that had some really good stats, if you will, okay? We can even go so far as Dyson Daniels. Of course, he only had 10 points, which was fine because I don't look at Dyson Daniels as an overly powerful score. He can score. He can get his own points. He can make his own buckets. He can shoot the three very well. But if I see a game where he doesn't hit up more than 10 or more than 12 or 15 points, I'm not worried because he's going to make it up on the other end. Shouts out to Dyson Daniels again, man. Six rebounds, 4 assists, 5 steals, another night with multiple steals. So again, Dyson Daniels is doing his job. He is doing a very good job with 10 points. So major shout out to Dyson Daniels. Zaccharie Risacher, not necessarily a big night, but he definitely got some big, he got a big highlight, man. Of course, getting an outlet pass from Trae Young for the dunk. That was hard. And you know what I'm saying? That was awesome to see Zaccharie Risacher do that. And then on top of that, to see, the guys just do a really good job. I mean, really impressive. But I definitely want to talk about this young man, Caris LeVert, who definitely stepped up in a major way, 26 points off of the bench. That is impressive to see for young. I'm going to just keep this up tonight because it was a really good game by the Atlanta Hawks. You can hear it in my voice. I am super excited to see what it really is to come from these Atlanta Hawks. And yes, they are making moves. Also, let me not forget Trae Young. I don't know why I forgot about Trae Young, but Trae Young, 36 points. What was it? Eight assists. So 36 points, 8 assists, 4 rebounds. He was 11 of 12 from the free throw line. Remember, I told you he intentionally missed that last free throw in order to ice the game. He wasn't necessarily doing too well from the three-point line. He was 3 from 12 from the three-point line. But again, 36 points, a lot of floaters in this game. You know what I'm saying? Really good job from Trae Young. And again, just being the overall leader in this on this team. Now, the Atlanta Hawks are making moves. Now, earlier this week, I definitely had a pessimistic tone because I felt as though they were wedged at the 9 position, like wedged. Like it didn't seem as if they were going to make any moves up or down because, of course, Chicago, it's Chicago. They were sitting at the number 10 position. It's almost like they're a lock there. But also, the Atlanta Hawks were at the number 9 position, and it just didn't seem as though they were going to be able to make any moves past the Orlando Magic and the Miami Heat. Well, of course, the Orlando Magic lost on Thursday, which gave the Atlanta Hawks a move to the number 8 position. And then tonight, the Bulls did their job beating the Miami Heat. And, of course, that helped the Atlanta Hawks move to the number 7 position. So, again, really good job. Right now, the Atlanta Hawks sit at the number 7 position with a 30-34 record. They're 15-16 at home. So, again, major shout out to the Atlanta Hawks because this is a big, big deal. I want to get away from Trae for right now because I want to point out how their movement from number 9 to number 7 is very, very important. Here's why. Only 5 games separate us from the number 6 position. 5 games and also a tiebreaker with the Detroit Pistons. I was going to say Lions, but with that, the Atlanta Hawks, again, crazier things have happened, but if they can find a way to muster up a major run and make something happen within these next 19 games, these Atlanta Hawks can possibly find themselves in the playoffs and not the play-in. Yes, I did feel as though they were a lock for the play-in tournament. As a matter of fact, everybody felt as though they were a lock-in for the play-in tournament. But now, as I see how these Atlanta Hawks are playing, how I see that they intend on making more of a move towards the number 6 position and further, listen, let's see what these guys can do. Now, earlier in the game, I want to say in the third quarter, we did have somewhat of an injury scare. Trae Young, he did sustain somewhat of a what they said, like a hip contusion or something like that, where he did have to go into the locker room. They did have to evaluate him. As a matter of fact, he came back into the game. Well, before he came back into the game, they put him on the treadmill, not the treadmill, but the bicycle over in the tunnel, and he was able to kind of get things settled in and get himself set up because, of course, the Hawks need him. You know what I'm saying? The Atlanta Hawks definitely need Trae Young. So I was listen, the injury bug has bitten the Atlanta Hawks to no end this year. You know what I'm saying? And I just did not want to see another Atlanta Hawk go down to injury. So, of course, with Trae Young coming back, we did have a scare, but thankfully he is definitely still with the team. I'm pretty sure they're going to reevaluate him. As a matter of fact, I'm not even going to hold you. I really feel as though they might even sit him out a game just to make sure that he's going to be okay. But if that's not the case, I mean, Trae Young has definitely been – he's played almost all year. He's been on the court most of the time for the Atlanta Hawks. He has shown that he wants to be here, and I love it. Now, I really feel as though these Atlanta Hawks are starting to come together. They're starting to get their footing. They're starting to make a difference. You know what I'm saying? Everybody is starting to come together and really form this team that we see now. No, we don't have Jalen Johnson. That's unfortunate. Right now, we still don't have Larry Nance, and V. Krejci is going to be reevaluated, so there's a possibility that we could get him back by Monday night. We could possibly get him back by Monday night for Monday's game. So hold your hats for that one. I'll definitely give you guys some more updates about that, because if we can get V. Krejci back, and if V. Krejci can also hit the three but with George Niang, listen, things can happen for these Atlanta Hawks, and they can continue to make a move up and down the board. And also too, shouts out to hit him, Boosie, hit him, because it was a major win. I am excited because, again, look at these last 4 games. You took on, let's just say what you took on Memphis, who is a top Western team, a top team in the West. You took on Milwaukee, who is a top team in the East. Now, unfortunately, it was a close game, but they fell to Milwaukee. You beat Memphis in Memphis, and then you would think that the Atlanta Hawks could split with Indianapolis, with the Indiana Pacers, but no, they actually beat them twice at home. And again, with Philadelphia coming in and a lot of the weaker teams in the Eastern Conference coming in, these Atlanta Hawks can possibly make somewhat of a run and possibly make a stretch to where, you know, they can make an argument for the number 6 position and get out of the play-in tournament, because you just don't want to see that. I mean, we're tired of it. You can see it in my eyes. We in the Atlanta area are tired of the play-in tournament. But I'm very excited to see that these guys are definitely doing their job. Listen, tonight I was super excited to see that they were able to get a win, and not only just get a win, but hold true down the stretch. Again, they set the tone in the first quarter. It was 39-19 in the first quarter, and that led to, you dig what I'm saying, the game being the way that it is, ending in the 120-118 victory for the Atlanta Hawks. What's next? Again, like I said, they have Philadelphia coming into town on Monday. So, of course, with the Atlanta Hawks taking on Philly, there's another chance that they can get a win versus a weaker team, and they could possibly get more wins and more wins, because we do not want to be in the number 7 position, or in 7 or below. We don't want that. We want to make sure that we can get into the number 6 position, 5, whatever. But the Atlanta Hawks should definitely do what they can to possibly get into the playoffs and not the play-in tournament. It was a really big game, and I was super excited. But with all that being said, my name is Walter Pollard. This is Atlanta Hawks Digest, and I'm signing out. Peace.